Welcome to episode 4 of Unfiltered. The weekend saw the finalists in the NRL decided for 2017, with the Dragons breaking the heart of their fans by playing like bastards and losing to the Bulldogs. Boys, there are 4 games this weekend. The first one is the Roosters, who finished second, against the Broncos, who finished third. Who wins?
Going back to yesterday, watching the Bulldogs beat St George, you can feel for the St George supporters. Obviously they had everything to play for, but they fell short. So unlucky. Enjoy your Mad Monday. But obviously up to the Broncos and the Roosters. That's always a traditionally really hard match against the Bronx. The Roosters are, they've found form really late. Boyd Corden's come back. Jake Friend's come back. All their forwards are, really hitting their straps. The Broncos, Darius Boyd is out. He's a massive, massive key. You can see the energy that he brought last week when he went up to the Cowboys. I played 3 years with Darius, and when he gets the ball back, first hit up, and he runs as hard as he can straight back into the defensive line, all his forwards lift. And then you see on the back of that, all their front rowers like Blair and Maguire, mate, they end up making 60 metres on that first set of 6, which is massive. You know what I mean? And they end up making nearly 80 metres after their kick. So he's a massive, massive loss for them. It's going to be hard to pick, but I'm going to pick the Bronx.
I think Nick Ream will go to fullback. If I was the Roosters, I'd be absolutely peppering him. He's only a little fella. Benji to 5'8". But I can't go past the Roosters either. I think with all the injury they have at the moment, Sims is out as well with a broken arm. I think the Roosters will beat them.
So the Roosters didn't play well on the weekend against the Titans. And I mean, that could be that bounce effect when you sack a coach and all of a sudden the players decide it's time to play again. But the Roosters weren't great. I mean, they do have players coming back.
It's a hard game. It's a hard game to play when you know you're in second spot. You've already got it clamped down. I mean, they had a little bit to play for, but I mean, it's just getting through that game. And the Titans have got nothing to play for. They want to come off and just get that win. And it's a hard mental place to be, So you can't really put a gauge on where you're supposed to be, even with the Melbourne and the Canberra game. You don't know how good Melbourne was or how shit Canberra
What about that
was.
shot by Tedavano? Do you reckon he'll go?
Look, because he got taken off, knocked out, neck brace, it looks a lot worse than what it was. I thought it was a great shot. I mean, his head is to the side and he's just dipped at the last minute when he's collected his chin. He's going to go for sure.
You reckon? He's been good for them this year too.
Yeah, he is. I think it was a great shot, but obviously you got to protect the players. And unfortunately, he'll probably be missing for a couple of weeks.
Is that another case, though, of the injury dictating the punishment? If he gets up and plays a ball...
100%. That's what it goes on most of these days. I mean, it's unfortunate that it happened. In my eyes and many other eyes, rugby league people or anything, it was a fair hit. But to get stretched off the neck brace, people's vision are just looking at it going, it's horrific. You know what I mean? It's not a good sign.
Soft, do you?
It's not soft, but I mean,
soft.
it's just the way it is, and it's the game that they play. And I've known Zane for about 5 years now from the Knights, and he plays the game aggressive.
Yeah.
And he goes out as hard as he can, and the bloke come off second best. Zane, you don't intentionally go out there to stretch someone off.
Of course not.
It's not the 70s or 80s anymore,
No.
where it was, them blokes were tough as hell. But now you've got to have your perfect technique. Everything's got to go right. One little slip and next minute the bloke's, he's getting stretched off because these blokes are bigger, stronger, faster these days, man. Zane's 110 kilos, can run the ball hard, hit very hard. So when he hits you, or when anyone hits you, you're going to stay hit. So it's the game they play now, and it's unfortunate for the young kid, but it's
Roosters
the way it
have
is.
got depth though. That's one thing the Roosters have always got. They'll have someone come in that'll do the job just as well. So I don't know if he's going to be a massive loss for him in terms.
He's been really good off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, he got his start I think around about round 5. He bided his time in reserve grade. He had a really good pre-season, everything like that. Got an injury. Few people were out of form. Then he come in and he's kept his spot ever since.
Yeah.
And he's had a checkered past. He had to really fight for everything that he's gotten. He's paid his dues. He had a year off suspension, through other things. But he'll be a loss because he brings some real
aggression.
firepower from that bench, man. He brings a lot of mongrel that they've been missing a little bit because Hargraves, when he comes off, they lose a bit. Now who's going to maintain Hargraves?
I think Kane Evans really stepped up that last 20 minutes when they needed a try. He put on a shot. Titans lost the ball. He's an outstanding kid, and it's a shame that they're going to lose him as well. Newcastle.
You reckon Marshall will play 5'8"? You reckon that's what they'll go with?
Yeah, I don't. With Brisbane, I don't. I think you're going to put Jordan Kahu at fullback. You can't have Nikorima back there. They're going to pepper him. Look at the Roosters. They've got some great jumpers, like with Ferguson and Tupou. They're going to just pepper him. You've got to put Kahu there. You've got to leave Nikorima in the line, protect him, and just somehow just cover that other wing spot. They got people coming out of everywhere. Wayne will look after it. He won't put Nikorima back there. He's been playing too good at halfback, and Benji hasn't really been shown that much to say, look, I'm deserving of a starting spot. So I personally wouldn't put Nikorima back there. I'd put Kahu. He's played fullback for the Kiwis.
It's easier to replace.
It's easy to replace a winger.
I still think it'll be a Roosters Melbourne grand final. I think the Roosters win the game, but I think it's probably out of this. It's probably the match of the round.
And I wouldn't even. I mean, I know Darius didn't come down on the flight because it's not. Your trainers don't let you come down too early, but I wouldn't be ruling him out. He rarely misses games. I think he's well over 250 games, and he's only 28. So I would not be ruling Darius Boyd out.
He's definitely out.
He's not definitely
Reni
out.
has definitely ruled out Darius.
I spoke to him just before the show started, and he said, I'm a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. He's one in a million. He's one in a million. So he's saying there's a chance.
All right, so the second game of the competition of the finals is the Melbourne Storm, who finished first and were deserved minor premiers, up against the Eels, who have probably overperformed from what people thought they were going to perform this year, and they've got fourth spot, which is terrific for the Parramatta club. Mm-hmm. Storm win by.
I don't know. I love how Bellamy and Brad Arthur have been going at it about the wrestle. Did you see
that's what happens.
You know what I mean? And but I think Brad Arthur needs to be commended for what he's done for that club. Like, it was left a mess 3 years ago, and in 3 years now they're in the top four.
Yeah.
I think Radradra obviously is playing out of his skin. I think Michael Jennings found some form as well.
He's playing awesome, Jenko's been playing awesome. But I love it how everybody's always against Melbourne with the wrestling. It's the Wayne Bennett tactic. He'll put it straight on Front Street going, they're wrestling. So he puts in the refs' ears straight away that they've been dominating the ruck and they've been, wrestling too long. So it's always fresh in their ears. It's a tactic from Arthur, and good on him. But I don't think you can put all your eggs into one basket with just Sammy Radradra. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's going, he's going to score for. Try and do that against Melbourne. You are not going to do that against Melbourne. They got their own Sammy Radradra. That Vunivalu, he's just as good. But I reckon Parramatta deserve to be in the top four. And I don't think we're sitting here going, they've exceeded expectations. They haven't exceeded their expectations. They've always thought they were a top 8, definitely top 4 side in the last couple of years. They've just been hammered by injuries, off-field stuff. All the garbage that happened last year. I mean, it was hard. But Jenko's really hit some form. That right side is looking dangerous as hell. But it is hard to go past Melbourne. Last week they just put a clinic on Canberra, and they just looked like they weren't interested. And this is where people get it mixed up. Where Canberra is like, okay, I'm coming down here. We can't make the 8. Can I just play the 80 minutes and get me off the field so I can have a beer? That's pretty much their whole thing. Yeah. And uninjured. If you've got to play for Australia, like Papali and all these sort of blokes, or representative football, you just want to get out of that game unscathed and just go, all right, well done, Melbourne, see you later. Yeah. So Melbourne looked red hot, but Parramatta, they're going to come down there, and they're the team that I would really worry about if I was Melbourne, because they're not scared of Melbourne. They'll take it to Melbourne, and they have the skill level to put points on.
Dale Finucane and Glasby got rested last week as well. Dale Finucane's been outstanding for him this year. After he left the Dogs, he's that real rock in the middle of their defence. I think he's definitely future captain of that club.
Yeah, I think he'll. As far as Melbourne go, if they get the grand final, he'll get a green and gold jersey. He's keeping guys like Nate Miles out. Like Nate Miles got a run on the weekend, but that was only because of them guys were getting rested. You know what I mean? Like that's how good of a side that they have. Like they've got about 23 first grade players. Some people, like you say, look at the Cowboys. They've probably got, maybe 20, 22. You can't really fit it in. but like you need 25 to 26 players of proper first grade players. So when you go back week in, week out football at training, they're testing you all the time. You got Nate Miles trying to take your head off at training because he wants your spot, and then you got like a young Stimpson and all these young kids like trying to keep their spot. So that's what breeds success. They got these young kids just biting at it, going, I want a Melbourne Storm jersey because I know how far they're going to go. You got the old dudes going, you're not going to get it, and that's what just breeds this success down there. And Belly's got to be commended, and just what he's done down there for the last 13 years.
Especially with someone
ridiculous.
like Addo Carr. How good's he been?
He couldn't even get a run last year. Depending on how far they go again, I'd give him a green gold jersey.
What about the wheels on him? I mean, he's just so quick.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, you can't coach speed.
Yeah.
And he's just a freak. That's what Bellamy does, though. He takes... I'm not saying Addo Carr was an average first grade
Well, he obviously
footballer.
was. Someone thought he was average.
But he's a superstar.
He gets the best out of every player.
Well, he's cut from the cloth of Wayne Bennett, Bellamy is. So he gets the average players going into that
next level.
above average. You know what I mean? Like Addo Carr is not an average footballer anymore. He's in that next realm. I mean, like he can represent.
He's pushing.
He's pushing for an Aussie jersey. Who else is pushing? Who's going to be the wingers? I mean, Dan Gagle, I reckon he'll be red hot start for a winger spot. But I mean, they usually go off how far you get in the semi-finals.
It helps.
And I'm thinking if Melbourne's going to the grand final, which I think they've got a one-way ticket to the grand final, Addo Carr's still scoring tries. It's not like he's just scoring tries. He's saving tries.
Yeah.
And he's hitting blokes. He's taking them tough runs that wingers aren't usually known for. But these wingers these days, man, they earn every cent. Like that Vunivalu, like Rad Radra, like all these guys, Dane Gagai, they're taking 25 plus carries, making 200 metres a game.
You could almost pick two Australian teams.
I mean, that's the old saying. You can pick three of them if you want.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's that game. I'd be worried if I was Melbourne. I'm tipping Melbourne, but I just think Para has that little bit of an X factor where you don't know what's going to happen because they got Jenko on that man. He's on fire.
I feel like everyone's looking for a reason why Melbourne can't win. Rather than saying, all right, Melbourne...
Because how boring would it be if you just go, Melbourne wins, throw your hands down?
Look
like
at
the Golden State this year, all right, see you later, they win the World Series. They beat the Cavs, 4-1.
But people look back on when St George Illawarra won 11 premierships and they talk about that. How boring would that have been? You turn up for 11 years. Every year, St George won.
It's like Queensland winning everybody.
Queensland.
Yeah. So I think you just got to...
Is Melbourne the Queensland and St George of this modern day era?
I don't even
That's
know.
That's the question.
Now, the third game is in one of those weird things that happens every now and then where the team that played in the last round end up playing each other next week in the semi-final. Obviously, Manly dusted the Panthers last week. There's been a bit of news coming out of the Penrith camp over the last couple of days that Matt Moylan's been stood down for some personal reasons. They've put a statement out saying that they hope the media respect his privacy at this time, and obviously we would very much like to do that.
Yeah, shout out to Matt Moylan. He's a good kid. Hopefully, he's well looked after there with Gus Gould, and like Gus pretty much said it's pretty much an open letter. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does turn up on Saturday. But I wish him all the best and get well, mate.
Yeah, he's an integral part of that team, but his health is more important. So I think having some time away from the game
and having a bloke
for him,
and having a bloke like Gus in your corner, coming out, making them statements. He's, he knows his players, Gus, and he knows football. So when Gus comes out there and protects you like that, and just hopefully the rest of the media, which I doubt, will stay away from this
and respect his
privacy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there'll be cameras outside his house, like as usual, but. Hopefully Matt Moylan gets through all this, and I hopefully see him on Saturday.
This is what we've spoken about before. When they're not just footballers, they're people. So we hope he gets well and does everything right. But
absolutely,
the Panthers, with him not playing and having been dusted by Manly last week, you would have to assume Manly win again.
It's hard when you do that. I think we've done that once in my career. I think we played North Queensland and then North Queensland again. So like you seem to figure out each other. And Penrith got belted at the start.
Did you win that game?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
I think so.
Well done.
Anyway, yeah, but we did. You end up figuring it out, and I think Penrith will. Last week they got ambushed. Manly were ready for a semi-final. They had everything to play for, and so did Penrith. But Manly got the Jake Trbojevic, Darcy Lussick, which I hope gets away from suspension.
Was it a trip?
No, I don't know.
Well, he definitely tripped him, but it looked like he was trying to get up in the motion of getting up.
The thing about
and Dylan Walker with the shoulder charge, he's electric in the centres. He'd be a massive loss if they lose.
Is he playing injured? He looks like he's just a little bit off the last little bit.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I mean, if he's on, he is on.
Walker was on fire on the weekend.
I think Manly can beat. I think Penrith will win this week.
You
think Penrith will win?
Yep. Regan Campbell-Gillard and Tarmow and Merrin, they got smoked last week.
Yeah.
And as a former prop in the middle, if that happens to you and you get another crack at it the next week, you know what you're coming up against. I mean, like Jakey Drabojevic, Lusick, Big Martin Capel, they handed it to him. And like they'll be looking at film and they'll be doing everything. There won't be much film. It'll be just a little bit. The forwards coach will take him and go, look, this is what happened. You just got pretty much dealt with for 80 minutes. Flip it back. I mean, because Campbell-Gillard, I reckon he's been the form prop in the last pretty much 8 weeks. You know, you got Tarmow there, who's been such a great leader, and you got Merrin there, who's a great leader. So I don't know. With this game, man, this is one of the games that will be it'll be the game of the round, I reckon, because obviously the first, the top 4 are safe. Then these bottom 4, they're fighting for everything.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly for Manly, he got him off on the right foot. He absolutely destroyed Wonga Blake. And you don't think he's going to be doing every single bit of video on him all week, studying him, not trying to let his teammates down again. So everything that Manly threw at them, they'll be just trying to dissect it. Not too much because they know they can deal with him. But like, man, that Kelly kid, man, he come from nowhere. I think he played City Country this year, then he got dropped. And I think that was probably the best thing for him because on the weekend he looked unstoppable. So Wonga Blake's got his hands full again. So I reckon if I was a player like that, I'd want my chance again. If I was Campbell-Gillard and Tarmow, I'd want my chance again. So they're going to get it.
Neutral ground as well, not at Lotto Land, the Fortress. So
Lotto Land.
Lotto Land.
It's Brookie.
What is going on with these names? What about 1-300 Smile Stadium? Honestly,
it's ridiculous.
It's a joke.
We'll just call it
Anyway, there's 3 games at
I've been to Lotto Land.
Yeah.
You've been to Lotto Land?
Yeah. It was on a Monday, actually.
So there's 3 games at Allianz. The SCG Trust basically come out and said the joint's about to fall over. Will they get crowds at Allianz for these games, or?
I definitely think so. I mean, Penrith fans will follow. Manly fans they don't cross the spit bridge traditionally. So I don't think Manly, the hardcore fans for Manly will. And you have a look at Brookie. I'm not calling it Lotto Land. Have a look at Brookie on Saturday. It was jam packed.
Yeah.
I mean, if 10 or 15,000 of them can show up, like they've got about that many members, they're done. They've done a good job. And Penrith, if they can get 10 or 15, if we can get 35,000 to a semi-final, if we can get 35,000 to a semi-final. Why can't we?
Yeah, Broncos, Roosters might struggle a bit, obviously.
The Roosters will show up grand final day. I don't understand why we can't pack out Allianz. I remember playing, when I was a youngster, I was dreaming about playing at the SFS in a semi-final on a Sunday or a Saturday. It didn't matter. Like, just get there. NRL fans, just get there. It's ridiculous. It's the best ground in the world to play a semi-final.
To watch footy.
I mean, I just don't understand if it's a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday night. I don't care what it is. Get out there and support your team because I just don't understand. I mean, I know the players cherish that moment for the rest of their lives, and the fans. It's one of the best grounds. It's better than ANZ. Especially for a semi-final sort of series. Get 40,000 out there. It's one of the best atmospheres you'll ever experience. So. I just don't understand why we can't get them out there.
There is no worse atmosphere in world sport than 5,000, 10,000 people at ANZ, whereas
we've been there.
You've been there. Yeah. So the last game is the Sharks versus the Cowboys. Cowboys have had a pretty tough season with injuries, and now they've limped into the 8. They're playing against Cronulla. You would have to say Cronulla are pretty strong favourites in that game.
Well, they put the beers down yesterday afternoon, didn't they?
Honestly, what do you reckon was happening yesterday afternoon?
I would have had the beer in front of me.
When Dugan nearly scored, I think the beers just got cracked, and then as soon as he got held up, and they said the beers were done. All right, let's just go back to training. But they would have been going through hell. I mean, they've had without a JT,
they've done well,
and without Matt Scott. Like to get as far as they have has been outstanding. You know what I mean? Like the leadership from Morgan, And Tolmalolo has been just nothing short of just spectacular to get
What
him
about
in
him?
the 8. Tolmalolo's a
He is
beast.
unbelievable.
He's my favourite player.
You know, you were saying the other week that Haynes, but I reckon Tamalolo, he'd kill it in NFL. Like,
If you got the
if
opportunity.
he got the, not that he would, but I'm just saying,
He's
like,
just a
he's
beast.
just an animal.
But
you see him last week
he's
when
getting
he-
fitter as well.
Yeah.
He's taking big carries. He's playing bigger minutes. He's making a lot of tackles.
He's had to carry that team
Yeah.
without
Literally.
Thurston and
They're
Scott.
up against it with Jack Byrne and Wade Graham coming back into
Yeah.
the team. Paul Gallen was outstanding
Gal, yeah.
on the weekend. He pretty much got them
280
that team.
metres. Like 35, 40 tackles.
36 years old.
He's 35 years old. He's an animal. Like, he's still playing probably, at representative level football.
For sure.
That's what you want from your captain.
That's exactly what you want from your captain, He's been inspirational all year, I think. I think he deserves another 2 years, depending on his body. But he can...
He loves the money.
He loves his cash. He loves his cash, Gal. I know you love your cash, Ray, son. You love your cash. I know you were trying to play for another 5 years. Anyway, but I mean, like with Cronulla, Jack Bird and Wade Graham coming back at the right time, just get that game under their belt, get them, hopefully they can get about 60, 70 minutes out, and then they can continue. They'll get so much out of that game. But the Cowboys aren't just going to go, all right, we made it this far, let's just give up. No way, Cowboys coming down here, pardon the pun, all guns blazing. So bad.
So I've got Roosters, Storm, Manly, Sharks. Let's hear so that it's one tip and then we can compare
Mine
how much of a genius I am.
Bronx, Melbourne, Cronulla, Penrith.
Roosters, Storm, Penrith, Sharks.
All right.
I mean, I want to go through they get a second chance, don't they, the Roosters and Bronx?
Yeah.
No, I'm going against
Can't
us both.
change it,
Going
mate.
against us
Yeah,
both.
good.
You going Bronx?
Good. Yep, I am.
Yeah,
Good.
good.
Darius
Fine.
Boyd's playing.
So the
Dubs. Yeah. Yeah, I know. They're idiots.
other